Ako ang iyong kasamang kaibigan sa ating kapapagaya. Magkasangga tayo, magkasangga, magkapatid, magkasangga, magkapatid. Ang programang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng Equilibrium Probiotics. Ito ay ang bagong food supplement na gawa sa mga piling gulay at prutas at dumaan sa isang masusing proseso para mapangalagaan ang inyong kalusugan. Ang Equilibrium Probiotics ay dinisenyo para sa kalusugan ng ating tiyan, tulungan ng pagkuha ng sapat na nutrisyon at ang pagpapalabas sa ating sistema ng mga nakakasirang toxins. Ang Equilibrium Probiotics ay may iba't ibang disenyo at sangkap base sa inyong pangangailangan. Mula sa boost para sa mga bata, fortitude, boost to play, miracle fruit, terewicare, at ang pinakabago, liver pro. Ang Equilibrium Probiotics ay may pagmamalaki ng produktong gawa sa Thailand. Ito ay mabibili sa Dasher, Geta Road, San Sebastian, Phase 3, Dinaugana, Tarlac City. At para sa mga malalayong lugar, mabibili din ang produkto ng Equilibrium Probiotics sa Lazada. Ito ay eksklusibong gawa ni Ginang Malu Reyes Luray. Ano pang hinihintay niyo, mga kasangga? Alam, bili na! Ang program MSB Kape at Balita sa Umaga. Hatid sa inyo ni Kuya Dong. Magandang umaga po mga kasangga. Dito na naman po ang inyong Kuya Dong. Samahan niyo po ako sa ating regular na pagbabalita sa ating programang MSB Kape at Balita sa Umaga. Medyo matagal po tayong nawala. Courtesy of, syempre, Converge. No? Salamat sa Converge at tayo nakapagpahinga ng ilang araw din. Yan ang tawag nilang force majeure. Wala kang magawa kasi wala kang internet. Kaya, pahinga ka muna bata, sabi nila. Pahinga muna ako. Salamat naman sa inyo. At buti na lang po at naibalik na po yung ating internet connection. Kaya ito po, magkakaroon na lang po tayo ng pagkakataon na makapag-live. Pagpasensya na po, mga ilang araw din po tayong nawala. Yan, bumabalik ang ating first viewer, si Richelle Tayag. Magandang umaga sa iyo, our favorite baker. Thanks for joining me this morning. At bago po natin simulan ang ating pagbabalita, samahan niyo po muna ako sa isang maikling panalangin. Good morning po sa TikTok viewers, sa Instagram viewers, at sa ating YouTube and Facebook viewers. Sa ngalan ng Ama, ng Anak, Espiritu Santo. Amen. Mahal naming lumikha, maraming salamat sa bagong araw na ipinagkaloob ninyo sa amin. Sa mapayapang gabing lumipas at sa patuloy na pagbuhos ng iyong mga biyaya sa amin at sa aming bayan. Naway ipagkaloob mo pa sa amin ang lakas at tibay ng loob upang mapaglabanan ng kasamaan at manatili po kami sa paggawa ng mabuti sa kapwa at sa pagsunod sa inyong itinurong tamang landas. Lahat ng gawain namin, inaalay namin sa iyong anak na si Jesus, na aming Panginoon. Amen. Sa ngalan ng Ama, ng Anak, Espiritu Santo. Amen. our top stories for today, August 17, 2023, Thursday, araw po ng Huwebes. Ito po yung ating mga top stories. Summary of our top stories. House expels Teves. President Marcos orders DTI, DA to monitor rice prices. Office of the President travel expenses up by 995%. German government okays plan to legalize recreational cannabis. Navota's police chief acts over teens slay. SAF opens adoption for 3 bomb-sniffing dogs. To better share 31.7 million peso lotto pot. Starting off with our top story for today. Our top story is brought to us by Equilibrium Probiotics. Please scan the QR code to see the health benefits. House expels Teves, report by Sheila Crisostomo, the Philippine Star. For disorderly conduct, terror tag also cited. Manila, Philippines. In an unprecedented move, the House of Representatives yesterday expelled Negros Oriental 3rd District Rep Arnolfo Teves Jr. for disorderly behavior and violation of the Code of Conduct of the Chamber. Voting 255-3, the House decided to adopt the recommendation of the Committee on Ethics and Privileges to meet the maximum penalty on Teves, given the gravity of his actions. In an 18-page committee report, the panel informed the plenary that there was clear and undeniable evidence that Teves had violated his oath of office and displayed disorderly conduct. After a thorough deliberation and following numerous meetings while observing fairness and due process, the Committee on Ethics and Privileges unanimously recommends that the penalty of expulsion from the House of Representatives be imposed on Rep. Arnolfo Arnie A. Teves Jr. for disorderly behavior and for violation of the Code of Conduct of the House of Representatives, stated the report signed by Chairman and Co-op NATCO Party List Rep. Felimon S. Pares. Prior to this, Teves was slapped with 60-day suspensions since March, when he failed to return to the Philippines after his travel clearance to the United States expired, and accusations that he masterminded the killing of Negros Oriental Governor Ruel Degamo. Asylum. The report stated that the most glaring evidence is the continuous pursuit by Teves of his application for political asylum and his continuous absence in the House of Representatives. The panel ruled these are tantamount to abandonment of his public office. According to the report, Teves, undeterred by the denial of his application for asylum in Timor-Leste twice, is even pursuing another appeal on the same before the Court of First Instance of Timor-Leste. His relentless pursuit of political asylum indicates he has no plans to return to the country. The act is a clear manifestation of his intention to abandon his office and cease fulfilling his duties and obligations as a duly elected representative, the report said. Terror tag. This panel also cited Teves' designation as a terrorist by the Anti-Terrorism Council under Resolution Number 43. The committee underscored that to preserve the integrity and dignity of the House, each member must adhere to the ethical standards, the rule of law, and avoid acts perceived as inimical to national security and peace and order. The House of Representatives is not merely a statutory creation, but is a main branch of government created by no less than the Constitution. Being a constitutional office in a democratic and republican state, maintaining and upholding its integrity and dignity cannot be overemphasized, the panel said. The panel added that when a member is designated as a terrorist, it poses significant threat to the integrity and dignity of the institution, a serious and unprecedented matter. The committee also took note of the indecent behavior displayed by Tevez on his social media posts, one of which showed him dancing in underwear, which causes dishonor to the House. There is no doubt that the conduct of Tevez is not necessary to discharge the duties of his office, nor is it made in furtherance of any legislative role. The same is outside the ambit of protected parliamentary conduct and is not therefore covered by any immunity, the report stated. The panel noted that holding Tevez accountable for his inappropriate and indecent conduct sends a clear message that such conduct is unacceptable and will not be tolerated by the institution. The committee finds that the gravity of the offenses committed by Rep. A. Tevez Jr. merits a heavier sanction in order to protect the integrity, dignity, and reputation of the House of Representatives, it added. Can report reacting to Tevez's expulsion from the House of Representatives, his lead legal counsel, Ferdinand Topacio, said last night that the proceedings before the House Ethics Committee are nothing but that of a gang report. Today is a dark day for the rule of law and the dawning of a new age of the tyranny of the majority, where might is right and the prevailing principle is the law force rather than the force of law, yeah, he noted. Topacio said that from the start of the proceedings, it bore all the hallmarks of an inquisition. The committee was the motu proprio complainant, making it both the accuser and the judge. He added that his client was never allowed to participate in the proceedings by himself, but only through letters of his counsel, who were never even allowed to present. The panel noted that the holding Tevez accountable for his inappropriate and indecent conduct sends a clear message that such a conduct is unacceptable and will not be tolerated by the institution. The committee's recommendation also shows there was never a bona fide intention to consider the evidence in favor of Mr. Tevez, he added. Good morning po kay Amy Afable Pascua. Thanks for joining. President Marcos orders DTI-DA to monitor rice prices. Report by Alexis Romero to the Philippine Star. Manila, Philippines. President Marcos is vowed to crack down on rice hoarding and price manipulation in order to the close monitoring of rice prices following reports that prices of the staple food are hitting as high as 56 peso per kilo. In a statement issued by the Presidential Communications Office yesterday, Marcos, concurrently the Agriculture Secretary, said the country's rice supply is sufficient, but prices are very variable. The government is working with the private sector to rationalize prices and make available affordable rice in the market and in Kadiwa, he added. Kadiwa is a program that seeks to provide consumers access to affordable and quality goods and to help farmers sell their products. Marcos also issued a warning against rice hoarders and price manipulators who take advantage of the lean months before the harvest season, according to PCO Secretary Chaloy Garafil. Garafil added that the chief executive has likewise ordered the Department of Agriculture and the Trade and Industry to closely monitor the prices of rice in various markets. There has been reports that rice prices have reached 56 peso per kilo because of price manipulation and hoarding. DA Deputy Spokesman Rex Escoperes, however, assured that the government is working to stabilize prices and is verifying reports and about practices that are supposedly affecting the prices of the staple, which include the stockpiling of rice, the overpricing of stocks, and selling of rice in low quantities. The DA has reported that retailers are selling rice at different prices, with some selling at 38 peso to 40 peso per kilo as the cheapest and some selling their cheapest variety at 50 peso per kilo. During his second State of the Nation address last month, Marcos warned smugglers and hoarders of agricultural goods that their days are numbered, chiding them for causing the rise in prices of commodities. Di naman yata natatakot. The president also ordered the Department of Justice and National Bureau of Investigation to look into the smuggling, hoarding, and price fixing of onion and other agricultural products after Marikina City 2nd District Rep. Estela Luz Kimbo told him that there was substantial evidence pointing to the existence of a cartel. SRP hikes on hold. Meanwhile, adjustments in the suggested retail price of basic necessities and prime commodities are currently on hold, according to Trade Secretary Alfredo Pascual. There are pending requests for increases, but we are trying to see whether there is a real basis for the request in the adjustment of the suggested retail prices. Pascual said during the Kapihan sa Manila Bay Forum yesterday. He added that when he recently convened his team, they decided to put the price adjustments on hold. And now we're monitoring the movements of oil prices and all other important inputs, Pascual said. If we detect that there is a basis, then we will again sit down and decide which request for price adjustments we will consider. Earlier this month, Consumer Protection Group Undersecretary Ruth Costello said 13 manufacturers of BNPCs have pending price increase requests covering a total of 43 shelf-keeping units, which includes various products such as canned sardines, evaporated milk, powdered milk, coffee, instant noodles, bottled water, and canned meat. Costello added that manufacturers of food items are requesting a 1% to 5% price increase from 10 centavo to 7 peso and 27 centavos. In contrast, non-food item manufacturers are requesting a 6% to 10% price increase from 1 peso 50 centavo to 9 peso 75 centavos. Asked about the reasons for the price increase requests, Castello said manufacturers stated higher raw new material costs, especially those being imported. She stressed that the DTI has a mechanism to verify the price increase requests of manufacturers. At the same forum yesterday, Pascual shared plans of establishing around 3 food terminals in Metro Manila, in line with the DTI's proposed food logistics action plan. One of the solutions that we are now in the process of implementing is trying to link retailers, particularly institutional retailers, like chains of supermarkets that have presence all over the country. There are a number of them now, so there will be a good competition among them, he said. The trade chief highlighted the Nueva Vizcaya Agriculture Terminal as an example of a food terminal where farmers are able to bring their harvest and traders go go there to buy. And our team has given one supermarket chain to sign an agreement with the terminal. So they will buy directly from the producers that are bringing their products to this end back, Pascual said. That is the basis of the approach that we are going to implement to be able to address the price gap between farm gate and retail. Those two things, direct linkage and the use of the terminals where farmers can bring their produce, he added. with additional reports from Catherine Talavera. Moving on to our next top story. Office of the President travel expenses up by 995%. Report by Alexis Romero to the Philippine Star. Manila, Philippines. Malacanang yesterday justified President Marcos's travels, saying they allowed him to check on government projects and encourage businesses to invest in the Philippines. The palace statement was issued after the Commission on Audit. Latest report showed the Office of the President incurred 403 million peso in travel expenses in 2022, up by a whopping 995.6% or 336 million point 296 from 36 million point 792 million total travel expenses in 2021. Presidential Commission Secretary Cheloy Garapil said that with the opening of the economy and the lifting of mobility restrictions last year, Marcos has begun going around the country to ensure that various programs, projects, and assistance of the government reach its intended beneficiaries. According to her, the move is part of the government's post-COVID recovery efforts, moreover, directly connecting with the local governments, local communities, and sectoral groups is an integral part of the President's decision-making process, Garapil said. With regard to foreign travels, Garapil said the Office of the President has received a huge volume of invitations for international events, conferences, high-level meetings, and state visits, among other events. The OP has acceded to some of these requests, knowing that the country and the public in general will benefit immensely from the President's participation in these engagements, she said. We reiterate that the administration, guided by its 8-point socio-economic agenda, avails of opportunities to generate more foreign investments in our post-pandemic recovery initiatives. At the same time, we also hope to elevate our position in the international community through stronger bilateral ties and improved relations with multilateral or international organizations. Travel expenses up 366 million. A breakdown of the OP's maintenance and other operating expenses for 2022 showed that the agency spent 10.78 million pesos for local travels last year, slightly lower than the 11 million point 537 spent in 2021. Expenses for foreign travels, on the other hand, ballooned to 392.307 million, an increase of 1,453%, or 367.052 million from the 25.255 million peso foreign travel expenses in 2021 under the final full term of then President Rodrigo Duterte. The COA said the foreign travel expenses included transportation, travel per diem, passport and visa processing, and all other travel-related expenses. Significant increase of 367 million 52,245.96 pesos is due to the official travels relative to the foreign summits and state visits attended by President during the year in Singapore, Indonesia, United States of America, Cambodia, Thailand, and Belgium, the COA said. The MOOE breakdown can be found under the notes to financial statement section of COA's 2022 annual audit report on OP. The foreign summits and state visits mentioned by COA were all undertaken by Duterte's successor, President Marcos, in just 6 months in office. For his inaugural trip, Marcos embarked on a 3-day state visit to Jakarta, Indonesia on September 4 to 6 to supposedly signing of several bilateral agreements and to lobby for executive clemency of Filipina death row convict Mary Jane Galoso. Marcos then flew straight to Singapore, wherein his administration supposedly netted some $6.5 billion in business investment pledges. In the same month, Marcos also traveled to the United States to attend the 77th United Nations General Assembly. Malacanang had earlier said that the 6-day trip resulted in $3.9 billion in investment pledges and about 112,000 in potential jobs. In October, Marcos went back to Singapore for a supposed semi-official trip to attend the Formula One Grand Prix motor race event. The trip was criticized as the country was reeling from the onslaught of Typhoon Karding. Malacanang had defended the trip, saying that it was by invitation of Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong and that attending the event was the best way to drum up business for the country. In November, Marcos flew to Cambodia to attend the Association of Southeast Asian Nations summits and related meetings. In the same month, he went to Thailand to attend the 29th Leaders Meeting of the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. Before the end of the year, Marcos also flew to Brussels, Belgium to attend a summit between the leaders of the European Union and ASEAN. Marcos, in an interview with select broadcast journalists last January, said his travels should be viewed not just for the expenses incurred, but for the return of investments or ROI. In terms of the cost, the way I see it, you have to look at it as an ROI. Do we bring something back or do we not? Said Marcos. Meanwhile, the MOOE breakdown showed the OP's confidential and intelligence expenses stayed the same at 4.5 billion peso in 2022 from 2021. The confidential expenses, which stood at 2.25 billion peso both in 2022 and 2021, pertain to the amount paid for expenses related to surveillance activities in civilian government agencies that are intended to support the mandate of operations of the OP, the COA said. Intelligence expenses, which also stood at 2.25 billion peso in both years, pertain to the amount paid for expenses related to intelligence information gathering activities of uniformed and military personnel and intelligence practitioners that have direct impact to national security. With additional reports from Elizabeth Marcelo. Moving on to our global update. German government OK's plan to legalize recreational cannabis. Report by Michelle Fitzpatrick to Agence France Presse. Frankfurt, Germany. The German government approved a draft law Wednesday legalizing the purchase and possession of small amounts of cannabis for recreational use, despite criticism from opposition politicians and judges. The bill, which still needs to go through Parliament, would allow adults to possess up to 25 grams or zero point 0.9 ounces of cannabis and grow up to 3 plants for personal use. People will also be allowed to join non-profit cannabis clubs of up to 500 members where the drug can be legally cultivated and purchased. Health Minister Karl Lauterbach called the draft law a turning point in Germany's attitude towards cannabis. The more relaxed approach would crack down on the black market and drug-related crime, ease the burden of on law enforcement, and allow for safer consumption of marijuana, he said in a statement. Minors will still be prohibited from using the drug, and the government will launch a campaign warning of the health risks for young people, especially, he added. Nobody should misunderstand the law. Cannabis use will be legalized, but it's still dangerous, Lauterbach said. The proposed legislation is a flagship project of Chancellor Olaf Scholz's three-party coalition and will leave Germany with one of the most liberal cannabis policies in Europe. But the draft law is less ambitious than what was originally envisioned. Plans to allow the widespread sale of cannabis in licensed stores were dropped in April after the European Commission raised concerns. Good morning po, CM Johnny Sanchez. Thanks for joining. Irresponsible. With its current plan, Germany's coalition government has taken a significant step towards a progressive, realistic drug policy, said Agriculture Minister Sam Ozdemir. But conservative politicians remain unconvinced. Bavaria's regional health minister Klaus Holzknecht from the position center-right CDU party called the plans irresponsible and said examples from abroad had shown that liberalization does little to curb the black market. This decriminalizing the use of weed also blatantly endangered people aged 18 to 21, he said, posting to the health risk of cannabis consumption on still developing brains. The German Judges Association, meanwhile, said the legislation would create more red tape and add more stress to the judicial system rather than relieving it. The small scale law would lead to many new disputes and proceedings before the courts, it said. If the bill goes through, the government aims to review the social impact of the new legislation after 4 years. The government has also said it plans to follow up with the second phase that would involve trialing the production and scale of cannabis in specialized stores under government licenses in selected regions. With the planned legislation, Germany will be joining a string of countries that have relaxed laws, relaxed rules around cannabis use. Malta became the first European Union member to legalize recreational cannabis in 2021, while the Netherlands has tolerated the sale and use of cannabis in so-called coffee shops since the 1970s. Uruguay became the first country in the world to legalize the production, distribution, and consumption of marijuana in 2013. In the United States, dozens of states, including California, have changed their laws in the past decade to allow people to light up. Moving on to our regional top stories. Navotas police chief acts over teen slaying. Report by Emmanuel Tupas to the Philippine Star. Manila, Philippines. The Navotas police chief Colonel Alan Umipig has been sacked from his post for his alleged failure to supervise the operation that killed 17-year-old Jerhod Baltazar in what authorities said was a case of mistaken identity. The National Capital Region Police Office NCRPO Director Brigadier General Jose Melencio Nertales Jr. ordered the relief of Umipig as Baltasar was laid to rest at the La Loma Cemetery in Caloocan City yesterday. He failed to supervise the conduct of police operation and corresponding investigation. Hence, he is liable under the doctrine of command responsibility, Nartates said. Nartates also approved the filing of an administrative complaint against Umipig. Also relieved from their posts were Captain Juanito Arabejo, who heads the Navotas Police Station Investigation and Detective Management Section, and SIDMS Chief Clerk, Chief Master Sergeant Aurelito Galvez. Arabejo and Galvez are facing complaints for simple neglect of duty for failure to subject the police officers involved in the shooting to a paraffin test as well as collect, preserve, and record evidence. Nartates also sacked Captains Mark Joseph Carpio, Luisito de la Cruz, Luis Rufo, Executive Master Sergeant Jose Elizalde Oriendo, Staff Sergeants Rodel Sosa, John Beer Tagakay, Melvin Napay, Mervin Villanueva, Roland Orbita, Kenneth Amangan, George Boco Jr., Ever Laico, Corporals Aldrin Pascual, and Mark Joseph Kilan for failure to render assistance to Baltazar. Six other police officers allegedly involved in Baltazar's killing were relieved from their posts and charged with reckless imprudence resulting in homicide. Internal Affairs Service Inspector General Altegar Triambulo on Tuesday recommended Umipig's relief after the IAS probe showed that the Navotas police chief instructed the leader of the operatives to exclude from their reports the names of 11 officers who were involved in Baltasar's shooting. Nartates said he ordered Umipig's relief based on the recommendation of National Police District Director Brigadier General Rizalito Gapas, who supervised the probe into Baltasar's murder. Speaking to reporters in a phone interview, Umipig said he respected the decision of higher-ups, adding he also welcomed the investigation on the alleged lapses he and his subordinates committed. While waiting for his replacement, Umipig led police officers in securing Baltasar's funeral procession from the teenager's house to San Lorenzo Parish, where the mass was held, and up to the Laloma Cemetery, where the boy was buried. Umipig said he was the one who initiated the filing of criminal charges against his own police officers on IAS allegations of cover-up after the 11 police officers were not included in the charge sheet. Umipig said it was the judgment call of the policeman's team leader. He said the 11 were initially not included as they were not in the immediate vicinity of the area where Baltazar was killed. Umipig insisted that he never instructed the exclusion of the names of the other police officers. Murder, not homicide. The killing of Baltazar was not a case of homicide, but murder. This was how Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines President and Caloocan Bishop Pablo Virgilio David described Baltazar's death at the hands of the police officers. That's not reckless imprudence with homicide. Ang tawag sa ganyan ay murder, period. David said in his own homily during the mass held for Baltazar. Senate probe. Senator Risa Ontiveros is seeking a Senate inquiry into the death of Baltazar. I will file a resolution urging the Senate to look into the incident so that the cover-up operations that seem to insult the integrity of the PNP and especially the people are revealed, Ontiveros said. Baltazar's burial coincided with the death anniversary of Kian de los Santos, who was killed by law enforcers during a drug sting in 2017. Ontiveros called on the Ombudsman and the Department of Justice to probe Umipig after he allegedly attempted to cover up the involvement of officers. With additional reports from Cecil Suerte Felipe. SAF opens adoption for 3 bomb-sniffing dogs. Report by Emmanuel Tupas to the Philippine Star. Manila, Philippines. The Police Special Action Force has opened for adoption its 3 retired explosive detection dogs. The SAF is appealing to dog lovers who are interested to adopt the canines, 2 Labrador retrievers named Casper and Snow, ages 12 and 13 respectively, and 10-year-old Nick, a German Shepherd. With their active service days over, the SAF said the dogs should have new homes in the remaining years. These dogs who have risked their lives fearlessly need a new home, a place where they can enjoy their well-deserved retirement and experience the love and care they so deserve, the SAF said in a statement. The dogs belong to the SAF's 153rd Special Action Company Explosive Ordnance K-9 unit, which employs the highly trained and skilled military working dogs trained in explosive detection and disposal. The SAF said dog lovers should consider adopting the canines and give them a second shot at a tranquil existence. We not only give these amazing animals a better future, but we also recognize their exceptional service by welcoming them into our hearts and homes, the SAF said. Those interested in adopting the dogs may visit the SAF headquarters in Camp Bagong Diwa in Taguig. Two bettors share 31.7 million Lotto Fund. Report by Rainier Alan Ronda. Manila, Philippines. A bettor from Imos, Cavite and another in Lapu-Lapu, Cebu, will share the jackpot minus a 20% tax in the Super Lotto 649 drawn on Tuesday night. The bettors guessed the winning numbers 12, 05, 01, 30, 09, 14, which had a total jackpot of 31,725,228 pesos. 82 other bettors who guessed the 5 of the winning numbers each won 50,000 pesos. And that completes our news updates for today. And here again is the summary of our headline. Time check is 6:39. House expels Teves. President Marcos orders DTI, DA to monitor rice prices. Office of the President travel expenses up by 995%. German government okays plan to legalize recreational cannabis. Navota's police chief acts over teen's slay. SAF opens adoption for 3 bomb-sniffing dogs. And finally, 2 bettors share 31.7 million peso Lotto pot. Good morning, Jet. Thanks for joining me this morning. Kay Jesiel Severino. Kumusta dyan sa Marian School of Herona? And good news po sa mga sumuporta dun sa magkasangga para sa AITA Play for a Cause. Yung turnover na po natin yung amount, yung naligom na amount kay Pastor Ben Torres. Sinimulan na po nila, resume na nila yung pagpapagawa ng first aid station. At Bukas po ipapakita po natin, no? Meron na po mga deliver na materialis doon. Meron po tayong mga pag meron po tayong mga matatanggap na updates mula kay CM Johnny at kay Pastor Ben, i-share din namin po sa inyo. And we will come up with a special segment of MSB Kape at Balita sa Umaga to showcase what is being done in Sitio Socorro. So tuloy-tuloy lang po yung pagtulong natin sa Sitio Socorro para po tuloy-tuloy din po yung pagtulong nila sa mga mamamayan ng Sitio Socorro. Especially din po sa tribe po ng Aita Abilen na nakabase po sa Sitio Socorro. At dyan po, nagtara po sa ating pagbabalita ngayong araw na to. At ito po, we'd like to extend our condolences to the families of the late Hermie Cabaluna, who passed away. Pa-condolence po sa pamilya Cabaluna. At para po sa aming tiyuhin na si Artemio Tarocanlas, who also passed away last Monday. This is an announcement to all our relatives na hindi po nasabihan. Yung pong kanyang wake nasa Barangay San Vicente sa Cadena de Amor sa chapel po, no? Chapel po ng Cadena de Amor, doon po yung wake. At yung libing po yung interment will be done this coming Saturday at 8 a.m. Ang libing po ngayon darating na Sabado. So para po sa mga mag-anak po ng Tarok, Canlas, Torres at yung iba pa po na hindi ko pa nababanggit. This is an announcement para po ipapatid sa inyo. Kasi hindi po lahat matawagan. Kasi hindi po lahat kabisado o alam tawagan nung paring Raul at mga apo. Kaya sana po sa mga nakakarinig nito, please paki-share na lang po yung balita. Maraming salamat po. And that concludes our news reading for today. Hope to see you again tomorrow in our continuing episode of MSB Kape at Balita sa Umaga. Magandang umaga po and God bless everyone. Thank you TikTok, thank you Instagram viewers, Facebook viewers, and YouTube viewers. God bless. Good morning. Thank you again for joining me, and hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you, Sansa 1106, JT, and Shimano. Thank you for joining me this morning. Meron po ulit tayong episode ng MSB Kape at Balita sa Umaga tomorrow morning, same time. Thank you and God bless.